The i12 has the ability to do group framing, so be like a front of the room camera that's going to dynamically adjust the framing based off of how many people are in the space. And then the i12 can also be used as a presenter tracking camera up to about 25 feet away from the presentation area.
Hi everybody, welcome to this briefing. We are going to talk multi-camera. It's a real hot topic at the moment, lots of options and new capabilities coming through, and obviously on Teams rooms, lots more support for multi-camera as well. I'm here with Cara, who you may recognize. We've done some briefings and webinars before, and she's the person I always go to when I've got questions around One Beyond and multi-camera and the Crestron kind of UC collab story. So Cara, welcome to the briefing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We're going to be talking about our multi-camera expansion with our One Beyond cameras. For those of you who don't know me, I originally came over from the One Beyond team, and now I work in the product marketing side of things for intelligent video and our unified communications products.
Awesome. And as you said, you come from One Beyond, so you've been in this multi-camera game for quite a while. It really feels like it's hitting kind of mainstream now, and to that point, you know, it used to be, I think, really like you were instantly into 5, 6, 7 cams, but now 2, 3, 4 is more common, and actually you've got a new capability now to do more cameras without the full Automate VX system. Is that right?
Yes. So we've expanded the ability to do intelligent switching with our One Beyond cameras. So where previously we had one of the i12 cameras, and then you'd have another presenter tracking camera as the companion camera, now you can have up to 4 companion cameras. So that makes a total of 5 cameras that can be connected that way. Your primary camera is connected via USB, and those additional cameras are over the network. And that USB output can switch between the various different cameras.
That's amazing. So you're up to a 5 camera system without Automate VX, and different ways to do that. So you can plug that into the Teams room on USB and have a multi-camera setup and have Teams kind of deal with that, or the One Beyond deal with that. Or you can have some manual control over those different angles and views if you want.
Yeah, so there's 2 different ways you can utilize this. If you're using all of our I-series cameras, you can have an expansion of what we had before, which is, you know, as people enter different zones, it will switch based off of that visual cues automatically. Or, as you just mentioned, you would be able to use a control system to be able to have a button press. So if you imagine you're in a classroom and you want to have, a whiteboard on one side, a presenter camera, and maybe left side of the audience, right side of the audience, you can switch between those very easily. And that's all going to come out of that USB output from that primary camera.
That's really cool. It's great to have the auto switching, but sometimes you want to control the scenario. Don't you? Education feels like a perfect one. It's like, I'm now going over to the board, like, let's frame that up. I'm coming back to center a room. I want to get a feel for the lecture theatre. Let's cue that one up.
And with our intelligent switching multicam module, you do have the ability to turn on that automatic mode and then, turn it off and be able to use the be able to switch between them manually.
Oh, that's nice. So it's not like a admin level decision. Actually, we'd have that part of the Crestron controller could be like, I'm in auto mode, or I'm going to go to manual switch mode as well.
And that can all be done in like a page flip.
That's really cool. And you kind of briefly went through the connectivity there, but like just to help people who are listening in. So USB like normal on Teams, obviously they're Teams certified devices. And then the other ones, just network IP PoE connected?
Yep. So you can just have that single connection for those cameras. Your main camera, which we refer to as the primary camera, does need to be an i12 camera. That's the one that you're going to connect via the USB. But the other cameras, can be mixed and matched between our I-series and P-series cameras if you're using the manual option. If you do want it to switch between them automatically, they do need to be all of the I-series cameras so they can detect when people enter particular zones.
Obviously, I could rattle off the exact differences for the I and the P series, but for those who couldn't, can you summarize why you might choose one over the other?
Yeah, that is a frequently asked question is, what's the difference between the I series and the P series cameras? So the I series cameras are the ones that have the extra camera in the base. So if you imagine kind of like an extra eye to be able to see the full area, it's a wide angle view of the room. And then the top camera is the PTZ. That's the output that you're actually seeing. And it has built-in visual AI for the presenter tracking or the group framing that camera is capable of. And then the P series are going to be your just standard PTZ cameras. Those are going to be, when you need to set like a static preset of a whiteboard or, you just want a wide view of a room or something like that. That's when you'd be utilizing a P series camera.
Cool. So you can mix and match those, as you say. So you've got it's always going to be a back of room wide shot. It's always going to be a shot of the lecture theatre to give perspective. There's no need for smarts there. But in the other scenarios, you might want to have that second eye doing the smarts.
Yeah. So the I series cameras, the I-12 has the ability to do group framing. So it'd be like a front of the room camera that's going to dynamically adjust the framing based off of how many people are in the space. And then the I-12 can also be used as a presenter tracking camera up to about 25 feet away from the presentation area. Our I-20 camera is kind of our premium presenter tracking camera. So it'll work up to, up to about 50 feet. And it also has some cool extra features in it, like it will do the presenter tracking for more than one person. So if you have 3 people up there, it will keep all of them in the frame and anticipate as they're walking around in that area. It also works with preset zones. And preset zones are when somebody walks towards a whiteboard, it will stop the presenter tracking, go to a static shot, and then once they leave that area, it will start tracking them again. And that is only one camera. All of the smarts and everything are built into it for that experience.
Awesome. And how would I configure and update and maintain all of this? Because obviously one camera is connected to the Teams room in a team scenario, but you've got the others and you've got all these configuration options. Is that kind of user configurable? Does it need a programmer? Where does it sit on that kind of complexity continuum?
Yeah, so when you're looking at the intelligent switching and setting up your I-series cameras, that's typically done in our One Beyond Camera Manager software. So that allows you to go ahead and draw those different zones and set which cameras are going to be the companion cameras for your primary camera. That will all be in the One Beyond Camera Manager software. But from a user standpoint, the manual control and all of that, that's usually going to be set up by like the AV integrator and into that page flip or something like that.
That's good to understand. And it feels like certainly I'm hearing this conversation more and more of multi-camera. What's the typical number? Because I always used to think about it. We see it, go to ISE or Infocom, you see your awesome demo setups, and it's like there's 8 cameras all going, and it's really impressive, maybe even more. But is it more the case that people are doing 2s and 3s? And obviously, I guess you've seen the use case to expand this option without Automate VX, just to have the cameras working with each other.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've seen is really a rapid expansion of people who realize the benefit of multi-camera. When you're in a space, you typically have people who might be looking in different directions. I mean, think about like a standard training room or something like that. You have your audience, they're facing the front of the room, and then you have your presenter and they're facing the audience, so the opposite way. And you see that in your conference rooms as well. And so, making sure that you can get those nice head-on shots of people is really important. We heard a lot of people who were frustrated with single cameras because they were getting the back of people's heads or the side of people's faces or things like that. And having multiple cameras in a room really alleviates that. How many cameras you need is going to depend on your use case. So when you're looking at something like the new expansion that we have with our One Beyond cameras, those are going to be for spaces where you really want to be able to cover, hey, we need something that's left side of the room, right side of the room, front of the room, back of the room. Maybe you've got a special product demonstration area where you need a dedicated camera for it. And, it's very easy for you to say, hey, I need to switch from this view to that view to this view. When you're looking at something like our Automate VX camera, that's when you start Automate VX solution, that's where you start to see those larger numbers of cameras. And I would say that that's going to be your high impact spaces, where it's really important that you have really nice head-on views of people. They're going to typically be much larger spaces. Imagine like a 50-person boardroom, or a larger lecture hall, something like that, where it's you want to get those targeted shots, and you want to make sure that people are kind of looking head on. That's what you want to see there. Also, that helps with the smooth transitions. We have primary and secondary cameras in Automate VX. So if one of the camera that would normally be your preferred camera is already live on somebody else, you don't see it move or freeze. You actually get another camera moved to you, and then it switches. So you get that nice production style experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. I guess in a boardroom scenario, you've got a scenario where often everybody around the table is kind of equally in the conversation and valid and important. So being able to frame everybody up well is more important than maybe say the typical presenter to room scenario, where it's like, okay, it's presenter and it's room, but in a boardroom scenario, anyone around the table could be the point of the conversation for some period of time during that meeting. And
particularly in those spaces, having the optical zoom cameras, so you're really getting that high quality, clear, crisp view. You need time for the camera to move there. You don't want to see that motion. So that's why having those secondary cameras, that's why you'll typically see in an Automate VX room, cameras placed in pairs.
Awesome. So you talked about loads of capabilities without Automate VX. It almost feels like we could do a ton without it. Obviously, going up to multiple cameras beyond 5 is Automate VX. What else does Automate VX bring to the party where I might still go for it in a 4-camera room, or what's it bring beyond the multi-camera?
Yeah, I mean, it has to do also with, how many different positions you might have around the room. If you're really looking for that voice-activated speaker tracking, you might have multiple different scenarios where you need to recall a different design for the room. So let's say your space moves from a classroom to a boardroom style to, pods throughout the room or something like that. And you've got those different layouts. You want to have voice, you want it to switch when people talk. And when it starts to get complicated like that, you don't want to be doing the programming for it. You want to be using our intelligent video room designer. That will allow you to upload your floor plan, be able to place the devices on there, have those different layouts, and just be able to recall them with a button press. That way, you have the support and the backing of the Automate VX product and the room design to be able to talk through how the room should operate. The other benefit that you would get is the visual AI auto framing and direction. So if you're looking for that experience where, not only does it go to a set position, but then it's going to find the face and be able to adjust the framing to keep them center and continually reframe if that person shifts to the side or something like that. That's going to be the visual AI auto framing and reframing. And then visual AI direction is where the cameras will actually switch based off of what direction somebody is looking in. And those features are going to be in the Automate VX solution.
Right. So without Automate VX, we're getting some kind of movement body tracking of like someone's in frame. With Automate VX, we're starting to get smarter about framing up people and the right camera angle for their best face forward to the scenario, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
And we also have a very dedicated professional services team for Automate VX. So when you are doing those high impact spaces, being able to have that team be able to take a look and go through the commissioning and configuration. They have, lots and lots of experiences of seeing different types of rooms. So, that's very helpful in those high impact spaces.
Awesome. And what's the maximum cameras with Automate VX?
So with Automate VX, if you're using the Pro system, you can do up to 12 cameras. We also have other ways of, if you needed more cameras, but, for most use cases, 12 seems to be a good number.
You've piqued my interest there. A, who needs more than 12 cameras, and B, how does that work?
You might have a divisible space or something like that, or someone who the space could be very large or something like that. We can work with a an external switcher and be able to control the switching based off of that. But doing it all within the Automate VX system is usually the recommended way to go.
Yeah, it makes sense. Awesome. Well, thanks, Cara. I appreciate you taking us through that. Amazing now you can get up to 5 without Automate VX. It's really impressive to see that kind of technology coming down in cost and up in capability all at the same time. It's really great to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around it, particularly for those spaces where it's very key to say we want this side of the room and that side of the room, and also a presenter. It just makes it very simple and easy connections for those types of spaces.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.